Hi everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel, and I am here for an album review, this time for a newer release. Now I know um, you could consider me late to reviewing this album, but you know, what can I say? Better late than never, of course, right? But yeah, now I am, for the record, a fairly new fan of this band. I got into them, I would say, just last January, I know. But what can I say? I usually do get into a new band every year anyway. And yeah, I think Queensrÿche is gonna go down as one of those bands that I did get into this year. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, and I am of course going to be reviewing this because it is a newer release. Of course, I'm here going to be reviewing The Verdict by Queensrÿche. That's right. Now, I just got to say that this all around is a fantastic album. I have a few Queensrÿche CDs at the moment. I hope to get more. And yeah, they're a fantastic band overall from what I've been hearing. So yeah, I've liked just about everything I've heard from Queensrÿche so far. And as you guys know, classic metal is something that I've been getting into a lot more, especially these last couple of years. And it's really gotten to the point now where I have no desire or interest to check out any other like modern metal band or any modern band in general. Um, so before you guys start like recommending bands to me that like formed in like the 2000s, I would just say save the finger exercise because I know that there's a lot of people that want to recommend stuff, but that's just not where my heart is anymore. I have to say I mostly dig like classic metal, and you know, just I know that this isn't really a classic album because obviously it just came out, but the band formed a while back, and that's kind of where I'm getting at. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Queensrÿche. I mean, I think that they're a great band, and now this album, The Verdict, I would say might be my favorite album of this year by far, but it's really hard to say because my favorite album of the year so far is actually a tie between a few, which would obviously include The Verdict, Distance Over Time by Dream Theater, and War and Peace by Demon Hunter. But yeah, I mean, all around 2019 is looking like a great year for metal all around. But yeah, I gotta say that this is definitely one of the best of the year, if not maybe the best, so far at least. So yeah, I did talk about some of the singles, of course, which were Man the Machine and Dark Reverie, which were definitely good signs for things to come for this album because those are both great songs. I might prefer Dark Reverie as time kind of went on. I just like the vibe it gives me more, I guess. But they're both great songs and they're great singles to release, I think. And then we got the opening track, which is Blood of the Levant, which I think is a pretty good opening track all around. Now, it's hard to pick some favorites because I think most of the tracks are really good, if not all of them. There is only 10 songs, but, you know, what can I say? I think every track on it is really good. But I would definitely say my favorites would have to include Dark Reverie and Bent, which are definitely my top two favorite songs on the album by far, at least. Now, as far as Bent goes, this is a really interesting song. I really dig the middle section, and this song definitely starts off with some, I guess, like, not super high energetic verses, but later in the song, it does obviously go into some as far as vocal ranges go, like it really does have this high energy to it as the song goes out. You just have to have, you know, patience with it, of course. And I think it's a pretty diverse song, and I really like it. Now, I do want to talk about the closing track, Portrait, which I think is an interesting way to close an album. But obviously, I don't think it's like the best way to close an album. But I do like it for what it is. It has this really cool vibe to it, I think. Yeah, and I would just also like to point out that the production of this album is really good as well. Not the best production I've heard on an album, obviously, but it's definitely very well done. And I do believe that this album does feature a newer vocalist who came in around like 2013 or something like that. Um, and I gotta say, he is a good vocalist. The vocals on this album are really good. I gotta say that the vocals on this album, they aren't as like I feel like this vocalist's range doesn't go as high as the previous vocalist did. But I do think his vocal work on The Verdict is definitely still very good. And yeah, I would say that this is definitely one of the better newer albums by a classic metal band. I know for a while I said that about Judas Priest's last album, but of course that'd be up there as well. But yeah, the Verdict, I mean, it's got a really great sound to it. There's some darker moments. There's some moments that I feel like have a really high energy, even though I feel, like I said, the vocalist in this I don't feel like has that same high energy as the older vocalist does. Or I don't know how many vocalists they have. Obviously, you guys would have to get me in on that, because obviously, as you guys know, I'm a newer fan. But from the previous albums I have heard, that's kind of what I take from it. I really don't have many problems with this album, honestly. I feel like the only problem that I do have is the song Propaganda Fashion. Now, this is not a bad song. I still think it is a good song, but I feel like, I don't know if it was just me, but this song gave me, vibes of, like, modern rock. I know, like, just recently I uploaded and unlisted a rant about, like, how, modern rock was, like, not my thing anymore, and, like, how it was something that, I grew out of and whatnot. And that's kind of what that song reminds me of. It honestly kind of reminds me of, like, Nothing More. Like, the band Nothing More. But, obviously, like, a better version. It is a more fun-sounding song, though. I think it is pretty good. But I think that's really my only complaint with it. But overall, I really like this album. This is Queensrÿche, The Verdict. Definitely pick up this album if you don't have it, if you are a Queensrÿche fan, or if you're just wanting to check out one of the best albums of the year so far. Definitely give this album a listen, because it's definitely very good. And this year is definitely a good time, even if you're someone who only listens to classic metal, considering that, like, it does seem like that there's been a lot of, like, bands that formed a long time ago are releasing albums today, like, of course, Queensrÿche, Dream Theater, and even Overkill in their new album as well. But, yeah, for a score, I had to give The Verdict by Queensrÿche, honestly, probably a 9 out of 10. It's that great of an album. I highly recommend it. And there you go, guys. That is my review of Queensrÿche's newest album, The Verdict. I think it's a great album overall. So what do you guys think of this record if you heard it? Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and take care.